So a little bit of a story time today. You know, this kind of spawned from my daughter going to the Dan Clark Memorial Day ride at 12. She was definitely the youngest person, her and another girl from the Green River Tri team, and mostly adults. But it made me think about kind of what our society has kind of come along, and it made me think about me growing up as an athlete. And I remember one person that had a tremendous effect on me, and probably, he probably never knew it, and probably never told him enough. But anyway, his name, we used to have open gym at Orville High School, and when I was, a freshman, and there was a guy named Derk Ricketts. Derk had played, I'd already graduated, and came back and played these open gyms that were very competitive, and these, as a little chunky freshman that could basically just shoot and not do much else, had some shoot and pass, didn't really have any other like super skills compared to what these guys were had. Derk was a tremendous high school player, had a major knee injury his senior year, and didn't really probably is probably not remembered at Orville High School as he should be, because he was just an amazing player. But even with these knee injuries, he was just so crafty and could shoot, and he just had all these little nuances, that how he would steal the ball and how he would set people up, and I would just sit and watch him. But the greatest thing about him was this, is that he always said hi to me and always said bye to me and asked me, like, was invested in me. Like, you cannot imagine how that big that was for me. You cannot imagine how much that meant to me as a 14-year-old kid, 13, 14-year-old kid. It made me want to get better. It made me want to make him, every time I came, I invested in this game, in this gym, because of him. He was the first one outside of family and dad and, uncles and cousins and things like that, friends. He was the first person that did something I loved that was like, what's up, kid? And I'll never forget him. He's a golf pro now in the Sacramento area, last time I heard. Just a cool dude, right? So the big part of this whole thing is that my daughter loves to ride bikes. She loves it. She loves riding bikes. She loves triathlon. She probably loves riding bikes, and she loves swimming. Probably running is the last thing she likes. But no one really said anything to her, except the usual people I work with, and maybe a couple, but 95% of the people, yeah, maybe they were in the back. But I tell you what, as a human being, as a Derk Ricketts person, when I go to things like that, the first thing I would see would be a 12-year-old kid brave enough to show up with grown men and women and be like, let's ride. No, she's not going to ride with you and be in your way. You guys are all faster than her. But she loves cycling. And you know how big that would be for someone to say something to her? It would have been huge. It would have been like Michael Jordan dropping into your lap. Or if you're it would have been like Lance Armstrong in his heyday being like, what's up, 38-year-old dude? Because to her, you are Lance Armstrong. All these cyclists, man, they're big. Oh, man, they got these cool bikes. She's like, whoa, look at that bike. When my wife said there wasn't really a lot of, man, it just hurt my heart. Because that's kind of what Project Rise is, right? Like, yeah, they're running groups, but remember how it was when you first started and someone didn't say something to you when you were a kid. Man, I would know I'd have never gone back to that gym if it wasn't for Derk Ricketts. So maybe in this time, when it's so easy to judge young kids, and if you're 40, 50 years old, to say, yo, you young millennials, like, it's so easy. So easy. You're so easy on social media to be like, millennials. And if anybody knows me, I hate the millennial bashing. I hate it. I think it's ridiculous, because all eras had like these kids those kids that you're complaining about, the small group of kids. Everybody had like bad kids. Like, don't give me that crap. Like, everybody had the, oh, look at those kids listen to rock and roll. They're never going to be, those greasers are never going to be anything. Those hippies are never going to be anything. Like, don't give me that, right? So, instead of bashing millennials online, maybe when you see a millennial showing up to something that's pretty cool, maybe you should take time and invest in that person. So maybe, just me, this is just me, maybe it's not the millennials' fault that they don't care about anything. Maybe it's our fault that we're not invested in as millennials. Maybe it's our fault that that person that shows up at the gym overweight, can't do much, isn't spoke to one time, because we're too worried about us that they never go back. Maybe it's us that doesn't see that person show up at the group run and we don't say anything to them. Nothing. They're not coming back. You wouldn't come back. Finally get some good light, man. So, I know this is going long, but maybe you take that little bit of time to just say something, to channel your inner Derk Ricketts, to make someone that maybe he's not 13, but maybe he's 40 and just starting. Because everybody starts somewhere. My true start was in those gyms, in that gym. And Derk Ricketts took me, and I will forever be grateful. So who are you going to help? Who are you going to take the time out of your day? You. Maybe you change someone's life.